Welcome to Cinema 5D on the Go. Moving conversations about moving images with filmmakers and industry leaders. Brought to you by Hedge for Mac, Rode Microphones, G Technology, and Zachtle, in association with Ford. This is your host, Nino Leitner.
So you use it for how long were you able? What's the camera called actually?
So the E-M1 MK II.
E-M1 MK II.
I actually only had it for one day.
Mm-hmm.
So all I have is one day. I was lucky enough to be able to record files and analyze the files later on.
Yeah.
And get access to their new lenses as well.
Mm-hmm.
So
the stabilizer is in the camera or in the lens?
The stabilizer is in the camera. So whatever lens you put on it, even if it's an older lens and it doesn't recognize it, you're able to say that, okay, now it's a 15mm lens. You change it to 15 or you change it to 80mm.
Oh, nice.
And you tell it, so it's
similar
always
to the stabilizer in the Sony A7.
Yeah, you always need to know what lens is on it,
yeah.
So that it's able to react accordingly. So yeah, the stabilization is in the camera itself. So
Mm-hmm.
you can put any old lens like we've done. We put Cooks and Zeiss and SLR Magic Anamorphics is something that I'll be trying soon, and
nice.
It's an interesting platform. But the crazy thing is when they brought the new 12, I think the 12 to 100 f4,
mm-hmm.
which is ginormous range for a lens.
12 to 100.
Yeah.
Wow. What aperture you have?
F4.
All the way.
I think I might be lying, and Olympus will kill me for this, but I think it was 12 to 100 f4 all the way.
Wow.
Constant aperture.
Impressive.
With lens stabilization as well.
In addition to the camera stabilization.
In addition to the camera stabilization.
Mm-hmm.
So that package, when I tried it out, like I was able to pull off shots. I was walking on the street with a man on the other side of some cars. Basic Steadicam sidetrack. And there is no cage, there's no extra weight. It's just me and the camera, and straight out of the package, I'm getting shots that look like dolly shots.
Yeah.
And I was like, that blew me away, because I realized that before, where I could use this Olympus for picking up quick and steady shots, doing small pans and tilts, and getting this really nice fluid kind of walking moves. Now I can actually go and replicate Steadicam and dolly kinds of moves. Yeah, to an extent. Of course, if you're gonna put a 400mm lens on it, nothing's gonna be able to cope with that. But if you stay within purposeful limits, something that's equivalent to a 50mm even on full frame, you can pull off tracking shots walking behind them.
Yeah. And
with a little bit of practice, so that it looks like a Steadicam shot.
It's amazing.
And that was what got to me. It's like, holy, this is something I want to use.
So wow, and you were a Steadicam operator before?
Yeah, I was a Steadicam operator. I think I first touched the Steadicam like 10 years ago. So I did Steadicam operating heavily for about 4 years, and then it's been more. I've been either hiring someone if there's a big need, but usually I try to operate myself. Mm-hmm. I've always enjoyed kind of dancing with the camera and learning how to move the camera with my body. Yeah, and it's a thing that I really enjoy.
It's nice to hear that even you say that this camera or gimbals are, a worthy alternative. Because I mean, I know a lot of Steadicam operators who still swear to the Steadicam, because I agree that usually like the walking motion is much better stabilized with a mechanical stabilizer.
I do think as well. It's you can't beat physics.
Yeah,
physics are physics. And I think there's always going to be a place for Steadicams, and also because of the very natural and the ability to quickly react to things, and it's a dance with the subject, and which gives her a good cinematic language. But gimbals are here; they're supremely useful, and now that these new stabilized cameras are here, it gives a whole other language. It's all I consider again. It's the story dictates. What is the best language for the film, and.
What do you use gimbals for mostly? When do you choose a gimbal over a Steadicam? I'm honestly not a Steadicam operator, but I use gimbals a lot, and of course there's a tendency of using gimbals all the time because I know them.
Yeah.
But you knowing both, where do you choose what?
I mean, I personally Steadicams. If we're doing a lot of tracking shots of people walking, going to places, and if I want to use longer lenses and a lot of talking, because it gets tiring on long takes with gimbals a lot of times, and that walking motion can become apparent.
Which
a lot
gimbals do
faster.
you use? The Movi or?
I probably used all of them.
Yeah.
But we use the Movi M15, and currently we use the ACR Systems, the Beast.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that.
The most.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one we use 99% of the time. But it all comes down to the language and how long the shots are. I mean, in the film that we did, the longest shot I think was 9 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So on a gimbal, that's a long time to hold it.
Well, especially if you don't. I mean, have you ever tried one of these gimbal holders, like exoskeletons?
Yeah,
and stuff
yeah,
like
and they're super interesting. The only problem is that
you lose a lot of the advantages of movement.
Yeah,
right?
you lose a lot of advantage with the movement. Then it becomes a Steadicam for me.
Exactly.
And I'd rather use a Steadicam then.
That's what I'm thinking. You can't go low, you can't go high anymore.
Yeah, I mean, there's some good ones. The Pro Ring and the Cinemilled system, all of that. That's a very interesting system. I'm thinking about investing in that at some point. But really, when you start putting an exoskeleton and everything on it, you kind of start losing why the gimbal is good.
Yeah.
That you can run and put it through spaces where you can't fit it otherwise. And that's another reason to always go gimbal is, basically, okay, we're in a car, we're shooting from a car. Actually, anything where we move a lot and we need to get shots of cars, we need to get car commercial kind of stuff. That's gimbal territory straight away for me.
Yeah. Yeah, for me too. I mean, like tracking shots from car to car shots.
Yeah.
Or I recently shot something in France on a boat with sailing boats.
Yeah.
And like handheld, you can forget it. You really need a Cineflex with a long lens, or if that's not in the budget, you just use a gimbal with a shorter lens. Because unfortunately, you sometimes in most of the gimbals you're limited with the focal range you can use because of the length.
Yeah.
But it works beautifully, with vibrations especially.
Yeah, it does. I think that's the best place with gimbals. Again, I think it's the same thing every time a new product comes out. People just
all over it.
All over it, and they just do absolutely everything on that one thing. And then it kind of calms down, and they realize that it's just another tool.
It's like when sliders came out.
Yeah,
everything was a moving
I was
shot.
sliding everything.
Yeah,
I was just
the same.
I was like, okay, I got to put my slider, and I got to slide this crap.
Probably people were like that when tripods came out 150 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh, everything can be static and not moving. Let's just put
wonderful.
it up there and do nothing.
Yeah.
So, but like inside a car, I imagine this Olympus camera.
Yes.
Like I think you even mentioned it in the interview we did with you. It's a really good idea actually just to have these forward movements, because the problem with gimbals often is they're just too big and too wide to move through everything.
They are, and angles like being able to put the camera here, and you can pretty much hand hold it, and you're able to move it around and grab a lot of shots in a small time.
Yeah.
And it is steady enough. I haven't tried it with the E-M1 Mark II yet, and I know it's even better. And I know with the stabilized lenses, it's going to be mad. But I mean, I was in Thailand doing a documentary, and I shot mostly a lot of stuff off the back of a pickup truck going through forests and really bad paths. And I'm hanging with one hand and shooting on the other while all these kids are in the truck, and I'm almost
with the Olympus.
With the Olympus.
Oh.
And I'm getting shots that look like they were gimbal shots, from a car. So that's when it really clicked for me, when I really took that onto like the worst possible kind of run and gun conditions and run and gun conditions. I realized that this is really a tool that gives you cinematic capabilities in settings where you just cannot do it otherwise.
Interesting. Well, it's cool that finally Sony is getting some competition again, because I think they have really owned so much of the market recently, because they did amazing cameras with the A7 series for filmmakers. Well, Canon is sleeping. As much as I love Canon, and I've been a Canon user for years, with the small cameras, it's really hard these days to, they're just not keeping up with the rest. Unfortunately not. I hope this will change again now. But the GH5 is interesting from Panasonic as well. Yeah, there's interesting stuff. But they've, I feel like a lot of the companies, they've kind of like, okay, more pixels, more dynamic range, and they keep doing that. But I feel like it's kind of weird that a company like Olympus then comes and has the potential to change the way we actually operate the camera. Well, it's cool that they probably looked at the market and they're like, okay, well, we can do the same as everybody else, or we find something that
Yeah.
we can do better. And clearly,
Yeah.
this image stabilization could be it. That's that's
Yeah.
real innovation for me, because
is.
this pixel chasing, I hope it will end. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't see myself shooting anything in 8K for any reason.
Not in a long time.
It's like, it's overkill, and that's
Yeah.
one of the, I love shooting on the red camera because I love the look of it.
Yeah, me too.
But one of the problems in the past, at least, now at least you can record
Yeah,
ProRes
yeah.
in like the resolution you
Yeah.
need using the full sensor.
Exactly.
But if you use Red RAW, you're kind of forced to use whatever
Yeah.
that camera has as a maximum.
Yep.
And that's, I mean, you mentioned that you sold your Red package. I guess one of the reasons is because you were overshooting.
Yeah.
I mean,
We're
over-delivering.
Overshooting, over-delivering all the
Yeah.
time. The client. The funny thing is that we've still delivered 4K files to the client like 2 times in my career.
That's exactly the point, right?
And
Nobody asks for 4K.
Yeah, nobody asks for 4K. It will come. It eventually will happen.
Well, a lot of companies have been saying that for the past 5 years.
But exactly for the past 5 years. So
Yeah.
I'm saying eventually it will happen. But right now it's still at, in the place that I'd rather much have a good 1080p image
Yeah.
that is easy to edit, fast to deliver, just makes the pipeline work easier. I mean, I love Red. We rent the Epic and the Scarlett a lot.
Yeah, me too.
But it's only for jobs that really. It's for different reasons than needing supreme 6K image.
Well, I shoot so many documentaries where I would love to have the look, but it's completely unfeasible.
Yes. Yeah.
To shoot that, because I would end up with, petabytes of data for one
Yeah.
documentary.
Yeah.
And it's just nobody would pay for that.
Yeah,
I mean, and I
exactly.
know I have colleagues as well who own an Epic and shoot everything because they are also in love
Yeah.
with the image. But then what they end up doing is just spending nights after shoots to
Yeah.
convert everything to deliver to the
Yeah.
client in a ProRes file that they can use. So it's really nice that now you can record ProRes internally.
It is. It
And
is.
yeah, that will change a lot for Red, I think, and
It
more
will.
than they probably thought it would.
It would. I mean, that when I heard the words ProRes, I was like, okay, now Red is interesting again.
Yeah.
Because I can actually get the look and deliver the file to my editors. Because a lot, for some reason, we've kind of got into a place as a company and as a director, cinematographer duo, where our clients are like, okay, these are the guys that deliver super good quality, super fast. And the Red Epic just wasn't that anymore. So
Yeah.
they're like, they call us like, a week from now we need this on TV. Can you do this? We're like, okay.
Although I love their Red, I like their Red RAW, because it's one of the few cameras where you can actually change the amount of compression. I mean, if you shoot RAW with any other camera, it's usually
raw.
way too much
Yeah.
data. I mean,
It
it's
is.
like it's completely unhandleable for anything other than high-end, feature productions or something like that.
Yeah.
And the irony of that is that now even super cheap cameras produce more data than the higher end cameras that have better compression.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Magic
Yeah.
really pioneered that,
they did.
and then also Magic Lantern to a degree with a 5D Mark II hack.
Yeah, they sure did.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's it all goes back to that thing that if you have a good image, and even if it doesn't have the highest possible bit rate and everything, it's, if you're comfortable enough as a cinematographer to bake things in, and make decisions on set, not leave everything for post, then you're able to get a really good image out of pretty much any camera out there to serve the story.
I think that's one of the problems with log images these days. A lot of people don't know how to handle them.
Yeah.
And it took me a while to really get the hang of it, because it can be easy if you shoot something in, for example, S-Log2, S-Log3. It's easy to get very unenthusiastic about your images. You know what I mean?
I do know.
I love Canon cameras because of their color sense, because it's like the color just always looks nicer.
Yeah.
But I know that I can get the same out of my Sony camera, but I need to do the post-production.
Yeah, exactly.
And if, for example, filming a sunset in S-Log3 is like the most disappointing experience. You see all these colors and shades and stuff, and then you look at your screen and you're like, oh my god, what is this?
what is this crap?
For clients, of course, it's even worse, because they are like, why? I've really started to not give clients a chance to look at that at all.
Yeah.
And just give them a monitor with a LUT on, where they can, kind of get a hang of what the look might be after post-production, depending on what the project is. Because if you show them the log, they're completely disappointed, or they actually demand it afterwards. I mean, I've seen TV commercials aired which look like they were unprocessed log.
It's terrible.
Because my theory is that agency people and clients just got used to that dynamic range look.
Yeah.
And then they demand it for post-production.
And you wonder, what the hell didn't they grade this?
This was never thought to be aired like this.
Yeah.
It's like,
No, but that's the thing. It's log is great. It gives you possibilities. But again, it's oftentimes it's okay. Like I'm just gonna shoot as many Ks as much data as I can, so that I can fix it in post. And oftentimes, there is a thing that you can't control it, but you can always make decisions on set to make it in. This is the look that I want to go for. I know a lot of cinematographers who said that, I'm going to shoot to a lot, and basically bake it in so hard that the agency cannot change it.
Yeah.
And it's because they were hired to help the director do a certain story, and the director made some decisions, and we went with it. And it's also like, sometimes I'm a protector of that vision.
Absolutely. And also, I mean, in the old days, cinematographers were always part of the grading process.
Yeah.
There's hardly any production that pays for that now. Most cinematographers still do it because they want to, of course, be sure that the nicest image come out. And in the end, they will always be blamed. If the grade is terrible, nobody will say this is a bad grading job. They will say this is a bad camera job.
Yeah.
So this is kind of the scary bit. So retaining or getting back some of that control with LUTs is, I think, a good idea. And especially if you the client or director or whatever you kind of get them used to a look because of a LUT that you put on their monitor. It's a great help, because you can give that LUT to the colorist and say, well, work off that.
Yeah. That's what we do.
Yeah. That's the best way of doing it. And it's nice that companies have reacted to that over the past few years. I just wish that cameras would have that ability. I mean, not, they usually have like this preview LUT, which is terrible on most cameras, just to, really judge, I don't know, what it could look like, but it's usually a really, really basic.
It's really basic, and it's only high-end cameras with that really have the ability to like, okay, this is a custom LUT, or this is a film emulation LUT, that you're able to put that in there, and or like from the moment you start filming that, you're already kind of baking it in and shooting to a LUT, shooting to a certain look.
Yeah. Well, I think this is one of the last resorts of all the monitor manufacturers where they still shine.
Yeah.
Versus, like the built-in monitors are never as good. But
unfortunately not.
But I'm sure it will get there at some point.
Yeah.
Do you ever work with HDR video? Or is it? You think this is a marketing hype? I'm still not sure.
I'm not sure yet. I haven't worked with HDR video yet.
Yeah.
It's
because the super high bright Atomus flame.
Yeah.
It looks kind of cool, but I'm like, is this really what you want to show all the time? It's like, probably it's not, but it's. I mean, they call it HDR, but is it really HDR? It's just
it's an extended dynamic range image, but it's interesting. I think there's possibilities for that, and it can, but it's always it's one of those things that it helps us sell more things easily.
Yeah,
because you might need this. What if someone asks for HDR?
Well, for me, having a high brightness monitor is more useful just to be able to shoot outside. So because they market it as the HDR for HDR, which is nice to have, I guess. But
are you talking about the small HD ones? Or?
I'm talking about the Atomus and also small HD. But for me, it's more useful just to be able to, in bright sunshine, to still judge my image without having to use a viewfinder, which is sometimes not really feasible.
Yeah, it's not feasible, especially with all this gimbal work. For a long time we suffered with like, okay, I can't use this outside because I can't get to be able to see the image apart from a hood, and then it's in the way and everything.
Yeah.
So I'm really thankful for companies like Small HD and Adamus. We own products from both companies, and they're really killing it, like giving
You own
much
parts
money.
of the company?
No, I own parts from the companies. I wish I did own parts.
I was like,
of the
wow,
companies. No.
this guy must be loaded.
No, absolutely not. No, but own products from both companies, and they're both giving new possibilities to filmmakers in terms of how they can monitor.
Yeah.
I really enjoy what they're doing. I wish I could afford their big monitors. They're so expensive.
Yeah, they are. I mean, yeah, this typical on-set monitor for me is a typical rental item that you rarely actually buy, I guess. I don't know.
Well, I own some monitors. I first bought the DP4, the DP6, and then,
the small ones. Yeah, I
Yeah.
have the DP7 and the 502.
Yeah.
It's a nice on-camera monitor.
Yeah, the 502 is great. And right, actually, I use the Shogun a lot. It's just a very fast interface. So I actually use it as a monitor mostly these days, and it's.
Yeah, me too. Actually.
Yeah, and
it's
it works
a really,
like
really good panel as well.
It is
full HD and.
It is, and everything's very, very quick to use for people and to learn.
Yeah, totally. All right, I think we'll wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for being my guest in the
fun.
car. We're almost at the trade show again, and thanks everybody for watching, and see you on one of the next episodes of Cinema 5D on the Go.